through right now could affect your life later, but also you can also change your life at any time. I actually was a year behind this gentleman that's going to talk to you when I was at Fort Knox. I happened to be on Facebook about 2 weeks ago, and a friend of mine that's living in Louisville said, "Man, you need to check this video out." And I started watching it, and it was probably about 15 minutes long, and I'm pulled over to the side of the road, and I'm watching on my phone, and I'm like, man, I text my buddy back and said, "Man, that is great." He said, "Good, because he just asked you to be your Facebook friend." I said, "Remember he went to Fort Knox?" And I was like, I started looking back, and I could remember the pictures, and I immediately was Facebook friends. We started chatting. He said, "Man, good, I'm coming in town next week. What time you want?" I said, "You tell me when you're ready to go, and we'll make it all happen." And I'm going to let him talk. He's got the floor. He's able to speak. I had told him kind of an idea of what we're looking at and that kind of stuff. Also going to preface it with this. Guys, he might mention God, he might mention the Bible, and he might mention that. If any of you feel like that's going to offend you or your religion, you do not have to stay in here. It's not something we're forcing on you, not anything like that. It is an opportunity that this gentleman feels led to speak on. That's what we're going to present. If you feel like that's something you can't deal with, no hard feelings, just let me know, and we'll step outside with each other. But I'm going to turn it over to Coach Casey.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, how's everybody doing today? Yeah. All right. How many people have ever done something that you didn't think was possible? How many people have ever done something that you didn't think was possible? How many people have ever done something that someone else didn't think was possible for you? So that just goes to show one thing. Impossible is nothing. Impossible doesn't mean a thing. Impossible is only in the mind. Anything is possible in life. Let me give you a little background about myself. I played for Fort Knox High School. My freshman year, I went out for the freshman football team. How many freshmen? Any freshmen in the room? 8th graders? You'll be freshmen next year. So I'm going to tell you what happened when I went out for the freshman football team. Got through about half of the summer, and we were doing what's called two-a-days. Everybody familiar with two-a-days? Everybody know what two-a-days is? They're going to try to hurt you a little bit in two-a-days. You got to put in a little sweat in two-a-days, a little blood in two-a-days. But we were doing two-a-days. And we happened to come to almost the end of practice. And we were doing up-down. Up-down. Who knows what up-downs are? This is a test in life. All life is a test. Life is one big test after another. So if you get tired of taking tests, don't, because you're always going to take another one coming up next. But anyway, we was out on the field and we were doing two-a-days. We were doing up-down. We did so many up-downs that day, I couldn't feel my legs anymore. I could barely pick myself off the ground with my arms. I couldn't feel anything anymore except for pain. That's the only thing I felt. In the back of my mind, I started saying to myself, I can only take this pain just a little bit longer. I can only take this pain just a little bit longer. So I came up with a number in my head, and that number just happened to be 5. I said to myself, if the coach don't stop us within the next 5 up-downs, I'm going to quit. So we started going through them. We got through 5. We got through 4. We got through 3. We got all the way down to 1. And anybody guess what I did after 1? I quit. I quit. I totally quit. I did not only quit on myself, but I quit on my team. I totally gave up. And I walked off the field that day. I walked off the field that day. And that was almost over 25 years ago. But I still remember that day. I still remember that day as the day I gave up on myself. The day I gave up on my teammates. The day I gave up in life. You see, football taught me something. Because, I didn't make the team that year, but I did make it my junior year. And football taught me something. Football, gentlemen, is a game of inches. It represents life. Life, like football, is a game of inches. How many people have got to that point where you just needed just that one more inch for the first down, and you didn't get it? It hurts. It hurts not to get that 1 yard, that half a yard, that inch. It hurts. It hurts. But you know what? Life is gonna hurt. Life is gonna hurt. No, nothing in life is perfect. Life is gonna hurt. Just like those up downs, life is gonna hurt. And you can say to yourself, I can only take 5 more. 5 more. Or you can endure that pain. You can go through that pain. See, pain creates toughness. And in life you need toughness. In football you need toughness. You need toughness not only here, but it takes mental toughness. You know, I talked to one of my teammates after that practice during my freshman football year. And he said, Casey, why'd you quit? We only did a couple more Eagle Floppers at the time. We only did a couple more up downs before we quit. A couple more. I was just that close to making the team, but I quit just that close. I quit within inches of coming to my goal. Inches of coming to my goal. But after I realized, after I examined myself, I realized I could have did some more. But I just didn't have it here. And I just didn't have it here. Gentlemen of life, you got to have it here. And you got to have it here. No matter what you go through in life, you got to have it. You got to fight for that inch. You got to fight for that inch no matter what it takes. You got to fight for that inch no matter what it takes. You know, that started my career of being a quitter. That started me off being a quitter. After that time I quit a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And every time I quit, it got easier and easier. Anything you do becomes easier and easier. See, if you're doing life right now, what's easy, life is going to be hard. Life is always going to be hard. If you take the easy road now, life is always going to be hard. But if you check yourself here, and you check yourself here, mental toughness, gut check, mental toughness, gut check, mental toughness. When you have the mental toughness here, and you check your gut, and you got it here, you do what's hard first, and life will be easy. Life will be easy. How many people want to be successful in life? I'm going to tell you the secret to success. It's 2 secrets to success. And everybody in life is not going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this for free. The two things for success. To be successful takes 2 things. That's all you got to have is 2 things. You have to get started and don't quit. You have to get started and don't quit. That's all it takes to be successful. Get started and don't quit. Get started and don't quit. That's all it takes. It takes a desire. It takes that burning desire to go after what you want in life. It may be football, it may be track, it may be basketball, whatever that is in life that you want, you got to be able to go for it. You got to be able to fight through that pain. You got to be able to fight through that pain knowing that on the other end of that pain is what you're waiting on. On the other end of that pain is success. You got to get started, and you got to don't stop until you get what you want. You know, years later, after I got out of high school, I started hanging around with the wrong group. Good guys, but we always didn't make the right decisions all the time. And because of that, I started to find myself stealing. Just like quitting. After I did it the first time, after I did it the second time, it got easy. Stealing became easy. I started telling lies. After that first time I told a lie, it became easy. It became easy to tell a lie. To come up with a lie at the drop of a dime, it became easy. But what am I saying? No matter what you do in life, no matter how hard it is, if you keep doing it, it's going to become easier and easier. Easier and easier. Just bad decisions led me to robbing. Not a bad person, but making bad choices led me to robbing people. My life was leading nowhere. I had no direction in life. I had no desire to do anything besides what I was used to. Steal, lie, cheat, rob. That's all I was used to doing. And it became easy. Every time I did it, it became easier and easier. I'm going to tell you what that easy road led me. It led me to be homeless. Anybody know what Wood Creek is? Anybody know Wood Creek? It's called the block. But the Wood Creek, I'm gonna tell you, I started off on one street. And all I wanted to do in life was party. I started off on one street, Elm Street. I got evicted from Elm Street. So I moved over to Wood Creek. I got evicted from Wood Creek, and I moved across the street. I got evicted from there and moved down the street. I got evicted from there and moved to the next street because it was easy for me to party. Partying led me to be homeless, living on Wood Creek. Not in an apartment, in the back seat of a car. I was homeless on Wood Creek, in the back seat of a car. And I didn't share that car with just one person. I had two of my good friends with me. And sometimes we had to fight for the back seat. Who was going to lay out in the back seat and get comfortable? That was my life. That was my life. Homeless. At the age of 21, I was homeless. I had been shot at. I had guns held to my head, to my stomach. And that wasn't the life I intended for myself. I know some of you might be wondering, just in case you're wondering, I come from a two-parent home. To this day, my mom and my dad still love each other, and they're still together. They created a loving home. And I drew that picture just to show you that anything is possible. Coming from a good background, a good home, I didn't have any direction in life. I didn't have any direction in life. I didn't have any focus in life. No desire to be anything bigger than what I was, which is someone who loved to party, steal, lie, and rob. That's what I became. Well, homeless led me to Hinesville, Georgia, where my cousin stayed in Hinesville, Georgia. My first cousin lived in Hinesville, Georgia. And after I shifted from place to place, my cousin brought me in her house. And she sat me right on the kitchen table. And she sat me down. And she looked at me to this point like no one had ever looked at me before. She looked at almost through me straight to my heart, right here. And she said, Jordan, she said, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with your life? At that point, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. No desire, no plan. I was just going through motion, going through life, being a quitter, being a robber, being a stealer, being a liar, going through life. But then when my cousin asked me that, I told her I thought about going into the United States Marine Corps. And she looked at me again. She said, no. She said, don't think about it. She said, that's what you need to do. Go in the Marine Corps. At that time, I had a warrant for my arrest right here in Radcliffe, Kentucky. I owed $350. My cousin wrote out a check for $350, and she gave it to me. And she said, go down there and pay those people, and go in the Marine Corps. And that's what I did. I went to the Marine Corps. And when I got to Paris Island, there was a little drill instructor about this tall. He kicked everybody off what he called his bus. And he made everybody stand on what he called his footprints at attention. At attention. See, when I stood on those footprints at Paris Island, South Carolina, back in 1995, November 26th, see, I felt all the Marines that had come to Paris Island before me. And I knew that when I got there, it was a bigger calling on my life. It was something that was bigger meant for me to do, something that was bigger than myself. So I went through boot camp. And the very first day you're there, they give you what's called an initial strength test. And during this initial strength test, you got to do pull-ups, you got to do sit-ups, then you got to run a mile and a half in less than 12 minutes and 30 seconds. But my mentality was just where I was. Quitter, a robber, a liar. But I wanted to be something different. I wanted to be a Marine. So I went out that day and I did my pull-ups and I did my sit-ups for that run. I just couldn't get past that run. I couldn't get past that run. I got through about a half a mile of that run and I did what I was used to doing. I quit. I gave up once again. That night when I laid down, I had to make up my mind. I prayed that night. I prayed, I said, God, I'm gonna need you to help me get through this. I'm gonna need you to help me get through this because I can't do it on my own. I couldn't get through it on my own because of what I was used to, being a quitter. It was nothing for me to quit. Down to inches, and it was nothing for me to quit. But that's not who I wanted to be anymore. That's not who I wanted to be anymore. I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to be a Marine. So I had to go through the pain. I had to go through 3 months of pain to earn the title of United States Marine. Sure, it could have been easy if somebody would have gave it to me. But because I went out and I earned that title through my blood, sweat, tears, I earned the title of United States Marine. I earned the title of United States Marine. I fought through those inches. I fought through those inches. I made those inches nothing. I made those inches nothing. Because why? Impossible is nothing. Impossible is nothing. It's only impossible if you believe it's impossible. Nothing's impossible until you say it's impossible. Nothing's impossible until you say it's impossible. You know, there's a bee. Anybody ever seen a bumblebee? Now, a bumblebee has a fat body and very small wings. They got a bunch of scientists together to examine this bumblebee. And they looked at this bumblebee's body. And they looked at this bumblebee's wings. And it said to look at the bumblebee's wings, there's no way this bee is supposed to fly. Scientifically, there's no way that this bee is supposed to fly. But you know what happened? Nobody ever told that bee that it was impossible. Nobody ever told that bee that it was impossible. Impossible is nothing. It's only impossible when you say it's impossible. You have to fight through those inches. You have to fight through that pain. You got to know what you want in life. And you got to go get it, no matter what. You got to go get it, no matter what. There's a story I love about a young boy that stayed not too far from here. His dad gave him for Christmas, for his 12th birthday, his dad gave him a shiny red bike. Gave him a shiny red bike. So he went out riding one day, and it started to rain. So he pulled his bike to the side of the road, he went into this building that had popcorn and candy in the back. So he went out and enjoyed that popcorn and he enjoyed that candy until it was all gone. And then he came back. Somebody had stole his bike. Somebody stole his bike. And it made him mad. He was mad. All he wanted to do was whip whoever stole his bike. He wanted to go down and whip whoever had a red bike because it might be his, or they might know somebody who took his bike. So he went down and he reported it to a police officer that was in the building that day. And he told him, he said, yeah, somebody stole my bike. And whoever stole it, I'm going to whip him. And that man looked at him. That man's name was Joe Martin. That man looked at him. He said, in order to whip him, you're going to first have to learn how to fight. In order to whip somebody, you have to first learn how to fight. Not always with these, fight with this, to fight with this. See, that little boy, that police officer that he reported to, he just happened to own the gym. And he took that young man in the gym and started training him. In his mind, he was training to whip whoever stole his bike. But he found something that was bigger than himself. He found something that was bigger than himself. He found the love for boxing, the love of the art of boxing. And he had to go through a lot of pain to become who he became. That young man from Louisville, Kentucky, we know him as Muhammad Ali. He went in because somebody stole his bike and learned how to fight. And took that, learning how to fight, and became arguably one of the greatest of all time. Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time, arguably, in the sport of boxing, the greatest of all time. And he got that way because he fought through the pain. He fought through the tears. He knew what he wanted, and he went after it. He called himself the greatest of all time. And it's G-O-A-T, the GOAT. See, I want you all to think about something. I want you all to think about the greatness that you have inside of you. You all have greatness inside you. Everybody in this locker room has greatness inside you. But you just have to recognize that greatness. And you have to go out and let that greatness shine in the world. You see, what funny thing that happens when someone decides to be great, it allows other people around them to be great as well. When you become the greatest person you can be, somebody else beside you is going to be great as well. Just because you decide to be great. Just because you decide to be great. So I'm going to leave you guys with this formula of greatness. This is a formula of greatness. You can take this formula through football. You can take this formula through life. But I want you to remember this. The greatest of all time. The G-O-A-T. The G stands for goals. You have to have goals in life. You have to have goals in life. You have to have all kinds of goals. You have to have big goals, little goals. Goals for your money, goals for your married life. When you want to be married or single, goals for your social life. You want to be popular, you don't want to be popular. Goals for your professional life. You want to be a football player the rest of your life. What do you want to be out of life? You have to begin to set those goals. And once you set those goals, you start with the small ones. You start from small to big, and you start knocking out your goals. When I was in Paris, my only goal was to get through boot camp. So I set that goal, and I made that goal. What happens when you set a goal, and you make that goal, you get confidence. And confidence always goes a long way. The confidence always goes a long way. So you set your goal, and you set another goal, and you set another goal. Life is all about setting goals and achieving goals. Setting goals and achieving goals. You know, when I graduated boot camp, I had to run a 3 miles when I couldn't even run a mile. I had to run 3 miles. And the way I did it, I set a goal. I looked at somebody that was ahead of me, somebody that was doing what I wanted to be doing. And I said, I'm going to catch that person. I'm going to catch that person. And so when I caught that person, I pointed out someone else that I wanted to catch. And I pointed out someone else that I wanted to catch. And it got easier and easier. And someone that didn't finish a half a mile, I was able to run 3 miles in 21 minutes and 7 seconds. Because I wanted it. I knew I wanted it. I had it here, and I had it here. The next thing, you gotta have accountability. You gotta have an outcome. Outcome is like a vision. How do you want to look? Do you want to win a championship? How many people want to win a championship? That's the outcome. That's the outcome. That's what you want to have when you finish your goals. That's what you want to have. But I'm going to tell you something. To make yourself look like that picture, you have to be able to sit, you have to be able to see that picture. Anybody ever put together a puzzle? How hard is it to put together a puzzle when you're not looking at the box? Almost impossible, right? Almost impossible. To put together a picture that you don't even see. So you got to be able to see that picture. You got to be able to see yourself winning. Every time in life, you got to be able to see yourself winning. And you got to commit. You got to commit to that winning. You got to commit to that winning. You have 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 to commit to what you want. You got to have it here, and you got to have it here, and you got to commit to what you want. have to be able to say to yourself, this is where I am, and it's all my fault. This is where I am, and it's all my fault. So when you get what you want, you can say again, this is where I am, and it's all my fault. You have to be accountable. You have to have it here, and you got to have it here. Accountability starts with you. It starts and ends with you. It starts and ends with you. The last thing you got to have is the T. It's the thought process. You got to be able to think that you're the greatest. You got to be able to think it. You got to be able to think it before you can believe it. I thought that all I could do was 5 more. It wasn't long before I believed it. It all started right here. You have to think before you can believe. And once you believe, you can achieve. You have to think before you believe, and then once you believe, you can achieve anything you want in life. Anything in life that you want, no matter where you came from, no matter where you started from, no matter what parents you come from, no matter what your family background is, you can achieve anything you want as long as it starts right here. Muhammad Ali said, I am the greatest. And I said that even before I knew I was. I am the greatest, and I said that even before I knew I was. So it all started right here. He began to think he was the greatest. And that thinking led to a belief. And he became the greatest of all time. You know, one of my favorite verses comes from Romans 12:2. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. That means all you got to do is begin to change your thought process. No matter where you are in life, all you got to do is begin to change your thought process. And no matter what you change that thought process to, that's what you'll become. As a man thinketh, therefore he shall be. As a man thinketh, he shall be. So no matter what you think, if you think thoughts of quitting, thoughts of losing, that's what you'll become. You're winners. You all come from greatness. You all have greatness inside you. And you got to go through and fight through it. You got to go through and claim that greatness. Claim that greatness that's already inside you. All you got to do is change your mindset. Change your mindset. Muhammad Ali said, told people so many times that he was the greatest, they had no choice but to believe. No choice but to believe. He thought he was the greatest. And he worked through it. He fought through it. 3 hours of practice sometimes. 3 hours of practice sometimes. You know, anytime if you're going for the number 1 spot, you have to realize that someone else is going for that number 1 spot too. So if someone else is practicing 30 extra minutes after practice, 30 minutes before practice, you need to be practicing 2 hours before practice. 2 hours after practice. You always got to be able to give more than the next man is willing to give. That's how we succeed. That's how we get ahead. Everybody's not going to be willing to give sweat. Everybody's not going to be willing to give tears. Everybody's not going to be willing to give the blood that it takes to be a champion. Everybody's not going to be willing to do that. But don't let that stop you from achieving your greatness. Don't let that stop you from achieving what you wanted in life. Because someone else falls by the wayside. You got to know it's here. And you got to know it's here. Greatness is in all of you, folks. Greatness is in all of you. I want you to believe that. I want you to think it, believe it, and achieve it.